Good morning and welcome to Weekend Update. I'm Larry King, and you're not. Here's a look at this year's big stories at DPC. Former Associate Pastor Brian Anderson is reported to be settling in quite nicely at his new church in Michigan. His only complaint, it seems, is a shortage of young people in the church's youth program. Pastor Anderson, however, has come up with a creative solution. He's growing his own youth program. It takes a little while to assemble them all, Anderson said in a telephone interview, but they're fun, they're durable, and they clean up amazingly well. Doylestown police responded to Andrews Hall last week when the man shown in this photo turned up at a wrapping presents crafting session. According to police reports, the man announced himself as Samurai Wrapping Buddy and immediately set upon the ribbons and bows section, inflicting an undetermined number of wounds among the crafters. Wrapping Presents founder Marnie Dietrich refused to comment on camera about the exact nature of the injuries. She did, however, issue this prepared statement, stating, quote, "There will be more fist bumps than handshakes at this year's thank you lunch, and our plans for a digital presence have suffered a severe setback." Weekend Update reporters were then told by Dietrich to leave the chaotic scene, but not before receiving a cookie, a group hug, and a decoration for the newsroom doorknob. Record numbers of homeless people were taken in from the cold this winter at DPC as the church participated once more in the Code Blue program. So harsh was the weather in Doylestown this winter that space in the gym was at a real premium. Coordinator Ann Bishop said this left her with no choice but to crack down and strictly enforce the temperature guidelines for enacting Code Blue. "We put one of these out by the door on Church Street," Bishop said. "And I can assure you," she added, that not one person was allowed inside until the mountains turned blue. This is a year of searches at DPC. Not one, but 3 committees are working hard trying to fill staff vacancies. One has been looking for a new organist ever since Ginny Shin took one too many paper cuts in the midst of one of our strange but enduring rituals of manic waving of bulletins. Another is searching for a director of Christian education, or as they call it in staff meetings, the Xanax position. The third search, made possible by a wildly successful stewardship campaign, is on the hunt for a second associate pastor since, just between us, Keith Roberts is getting a little long in the tooth, and we're not really sure when he's going to rust out. So here with an update is AP Search Committee member Rosanna Dana.
Thank you, Larry. Thanks a lot. You know, my uncle Guido, he sweats as much as you, maybe a little bit more, and he sweats in the Pacific Azul. And I have to tell you, it makes me sick. And that's why every Sunday I stay later and later, because I don't want to go home to Sunday dinner because he just sweats like a schmaltz in the pasta. It's disgusting. It makes me sick. And that's how I, Rosanna Dana, became such a big shot at Doylestown Presbyterian Church. If it wasn't for my cannoli fundraising, we would not have been able to hire an associate pastor, let alone interview for one. And let me tell you, it was not easy. I went to John Willingham and I said, "John, I have this great idea. I'm going to sell some cannolis." And John says, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, but you know what? It's going to be a little difficult selling cannolis to some bunch of Mayfair Presbyterians. Oh my gosh." But, so I went to Bill Bishop, and I said, "Bill, you want to buy some cannolis?" And he says, Rosanna, Dana, I don't like cannolis. I want scrapple." I said, "Scrapple? You make me sick, Bill. You make me sick. You're going to buy some cannolis." And he's like, "No, I don't want cannolis. I want scrapple." I said, "Bill, you want me to take your beautiful wife and make her a widow at such a young age? And what about you? You want to go swimming with the fishes? Because I can arrange it." Well, needless to say, that Bill bought some cannolis from me. And not some, he bought quite a bit. And then I went to Wayne Sneck. I said, "Wayne, you going to buy some cannolis?" And he goes, "Oh, no, cannolis. No, they mess up my mustache. They get into my wax in my mustache." And I'm like, "Really? I'm going to take your mustache and wax the floor at Andrews Hall with it if you don't buy some cannolis." Needless to say, Wayne bought some cannolis. And he also bought some cannolis for his friends at the barbershop so they too can have messed up mustaches. So we got the money, we got the committee, we talked to a lot of candidates, we squeezed them, we poke them, we asked them a lot of questions like, "Hey, are you going to go crazy during the contemporary worship service?" And if they answer no, we're not going to go crazy with contemporary worship service, I say, hey, why not? Because I'm Rosanna Dana. I'm like a girl who likes to stare at a pot a little bit, if you know what I mean. So the committee asked me, being the humble, inconspicuous person that I am, to go out and look at some of these preachers. So I decided I was going to go visit these preachers in their own churches. Check out their own backyard, you know what I mean? So on Easter Sunday, I go to this holy roly church. And I go in and I sit in the back and I see this preacher man preaching away. Just moving and singing and dancing, really going like he had to go to the bathroom. Oh my gosh, was he moving and moving. And he didn't have a robe on. He had a suit. But I guess if he had a robe on, it would hinder. You couldn't really see his dance moves. Anyway, this guy, he really got the crowd going really good. They are crying, they're swaying, they're singing, they're screaming, and he shouts out, Jesus is risen. And they yell back, he's risen indeed. All this shouting back and forth. It's like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm having dinner at Aunt Sophia's in the Bronx. And he comes out from behind the pulpit, and he must have been so excited about getting dressed for Easter that, you know what he forgot? He forgot to zip up his pants. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? First I'm thinking, I'm going to be sick. Then I'm thinking, if this guy's not careful, we're going to have a revelation right in front of all these old ladies and these sweet little girls in their Easter bonnets. And he runs up the aisle, and he's running, and he stops right in front of me, and he's like, the tomb is open wide. I said, it's not the tomb, it's your barn door that's open wide. And the congregation yells back, it's open wide indeed. And it got me thinking about what we can do, because I always like to improve my church, because I love my church, and I always got some great ideas. Me, Rosanna Dana. For now on, every Sunday in the front page of the bulletin, we're going to have a personal hygiene checklist. And let me tell you, I think it'll be really useful, because people need to be reminded to put on deodorant, to change their socks and underwear every day. But some people only do it on Sundays. But the worst thing is I think everyone should do is check their front teeth in the rearview mirror before they get out of the car every Sunday, because the worst thing is a piece of spinach hanging in your teeth. I mean, seriously, a big chunk of spinach hanging in the front teeth and you go get someone the piece? No, they're going to totally ignore you. They're not even going to shake your hand because you got that big piece of
Roseanne.
What?
What in the world does flossing your teeth and wearing clean underwear have to do with hiring an associate pastor?
Well, Larry, it's like this. You can't be too careful about picking the pastors of the church, because you got to take your time, because you never know what's underneath or behind the ropes. It's always something.
In celebrity news, Dr. Kieran Cody, the renowned, gracefully graying orthopedic surgeon, is having a bit of a midlife crisis, Weekend Update has learned. Famous for prowling the sidelines of high school football games for signs of hyperextension and breakage, Dr. Cody has grown concerned about being able to project a youthful enough image for his sports medicine work. Well, paging Dr. Cody, if you're trying to look younger, stop posing for photos next to young hotties like this. An unfortunate typo in the church bulletin nearly led to fan rioting last week in the city of Chester. A notice for an upcoming Celebrate the Arts event inadvertently omitted the S at the end of arts. Because of this typographical error, a group of DPC youth mistakenly set out to celebrate the art, namely Art Shull, star of the Philadelphia Spinners' Ultimate Frisbee team. Energized by this odd display of affection, Shull went on to make the catch of the game, proving once again that spell check is overrated. In other youth news, these youngsters from this year's confirmation class found themselves locked for several hours inside a supply closet at the Face-to-Face Social Services Agency in Philadelphia. Confirmation leader Anna King said later that she had encouraged the kids to relax and make themselves at home, which they did by promptly losing the key to the door. Here at Weekend Update, we are committed to presenting opposing points of view on all sorts of issues. Here, with a response to a recent editorial, is Miss Emily Latella.
Thank you. What's all this talk I've been hearing about sending our children to the White House to learn about cheeses? I don't understand the point of this foolishness. I don't understand why little children need to know so much about cheeses at an early age. And I certainly don't understand why they have to go to the White House to do it. I just knew something like this was going to happen when we hired that minister from Wisconsin. We should be shaping little Christian minds right here. We should be having them sing with Miss Jerry and the Sunshine Singers. We should have them running around at Easter Fest. We should be having them learn the Lord's Prayer and the Apostles' Creed, not the difference between cheddar and Gouda. What's this world coming to? We should have young people traveling the world with Club 456, not traveling to Washington. The only thing holy at the White House is the slab of Swiss cheese on President Obama's buffet table. And it isn't just the little ones' spiritual lives that will suffer from this. Why just think of their health? If they become obsessed with cheeses, it won't be long before they grow as bloated as the federal budget. I thought Mrs. Obama was trying to get us all to eat healthier. I thought she was growing fresh vegetables in the White House garden. But no! They want us to send our precious little people down there to the White House to learn about cheeses and clog their tiny little arteries instead. It's horrible! Soon we will have nothing but a nation full of roly-poly little people addicted to dairy fats who need Obamacare long before they ever should. They will be as big as a whale, like that darling Oh Jonah production. We should not send our children to the White House to learn about cheeses.
Emily.
I don't care what the politicians say.
Emily.
It's wrong.
Emily.
Wrong.
We're sending our children to Lighthouse, not the White House. Lighthouse.
Oh, my.
Yes.
We are?
Yes. We're sending them to Lighthouse, which is our special Sunday school program that's in its second year, and we're sending them there to learn about Jesus. Not cheeses, Jesus.
Oh, my. That's different, isn't it? Never mind.
In community news, revelers at the Oklahoma Barn Sale fundraiser are seen here observing a time of reflection before eating dinner. Kate Haldeman, in keeping with DPC's Year of the Bible initiative, blessed the food by reading this passage from Leviticus. These small animals are unclean for you: moles, mice, all kinds of great lizards, geckos, crocodiles, lizards, sand reptiles, and chameleons. Whereupon the event hostess, one Doris Carr, cried out, "Nonsense! You'll eat what I put in front of you." An unusually rigorous rehearsal schedule paid off recently with a flawless production of Oh Jonah by our DPC children. Some parents did complain that the standards of excellence were set just a bit too high. Said one parent, "Seriously? They wouldn't let them go to the bathroom until they got it just right?" The children, however, actually seemed to enjoy the exacting standards that were imposed on them. This budding young star has already asked to play the role of the Headless Horseman in next year's production of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Finally, Bucks County health authorities are still investigating what has been described as a bad batch of coffee served at last fall's Septemberfest. The overly strong drink is being blamed for bizarre behavior, ranging from mild giddiness to full-blown caffeine psychosis. We caution you in advance that some of the images we are about to show may be disturbing for some viewers. Here we see hospitality maven Naomi Darville, who was there early, showing the effects of having not one, but 2 cups of the suspect brew. And here we see music and arts director David Fitzpatrick, out of touch with reality and trying to fly during the ensuing church service. Even Pastor John Willingham was somewhat affected by the killer coffee. Thankfully, however, most everybody had gotten back to normal by the end of the sermon. And that's it for this edition of Weekend Update and Sunday Morning Live. I'm Larry King, and you're not. Have a great week, everybody.